for another episode of Keep It on the DL. I'm Devin Bonanno alongside Louis Angelillo. Lou, again, as we say every week, let's hop right into it. We actually have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. I was actually thinking today, it's kind of nice how there's been a consistent flow of sports news throughout the pandemic, just because really, it's kind of keeping people on their toes. No one really knows what's going to go on, and every little bit of news, everyone's kind of just like jumping at the bit. And then obviously you got The Last Dance going, but let's talk about something that I'm surprised has not gotten as much publicity as it has. I figured this would be everywhere, but how about the NCAA allowing player
this is a big
endorsing?
step for the NCAA. I think they're getting this one right. I do think players should be able to, make something off their name, off their brand, and this is not going through the school. No school money is being handed to them. Nothing here is done through the school. There's no, go come to LSU. We'll get you endorsed at XXX. At these places. That's not going to happen. It's all up to them. It's independent branding. Endorsing all that kind of stuff, which is definitely fair. These guys or these college athletes, freak athletes that are going pro, that could get their brands going early, their sponsorships going early, things like that. It's good for them, and I really think it's good for everyone, because this right here is a reason that they don't have to get into, these guys should be paid to play, because that opens up a whole can of worms with Title IX and just everything. It would open up a thing with musicians going to schools to be paid to play there. If athletes are being paid to play, it would just open up so much stuff. So basically saying, hey, this guy's endorsing himself, he has sponsors himself, like anyone could go do that. You could go do that no matter what you do, water polo, softball, lacrosse, go ahead. Go for it. Try to get your sponsor, get your name out there, and everything like that. So I think the NCAA got this right, and it's good. It's good because that G League stuff, players going from high school right to the G League, skipping the college. Maybe they're not going to do that now because they're not going to build as much a name as they would in college as they would a G League.
Yeah, no, I definitely think I agree with everything you said. This is a huge, huge, huge step for the NCAA. Obviously, this is probably the hottest topic amongst sports or student athletes, of course. But people are quick to say the whole thing like, oh, look at their facilities. Perfect example is Clemson's football facility. I think they have like water slides and all this unnecessary crap. They have like putting greens and whatnot. They are semi-professional players at the end of the day, and these guys, especially in basketball's case, one and done. In a matter of 2 years, you go from being a high school senior to being a multi-millionaire. That's a big jump, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. It needed to happen. It's their own image and likeness. You think about teams that keep going back to Clemson with probably the biggest star in college sports, Trevor Lawrence. He's a polarizing figure. He just his look with his long hair and everything, and just his stature and the way he plays. He's very easy to market. And on top of it, he's a great player. So a lot of guys in the past too. You think of Johnny Manziel or everything that A&M was doing. They were selling shirts left and right. And he wasn't getting a cut of it. Obviously, a different story, but he would have had endorsers left and right lining up for him at that moment. I'm sure a lot of different guys are going to be able to have things like that. And I think it's very fair. I think it definitely had to happen. I think it's going to be a good move for the NCAA.
Plus, guys that, football players, 3 years is a long time for a person to consistently play college football. When you think about it, 3 years is a good amount of time. When you get there, normally freshmen don't start just because the level from high school to college is just utterly ridiculous. You go from, linemen that are 220 to linemen that are 320. It's 100 pounds difference across the board almost at every position. So that's a big thing with, you don't play your freshman year, but then if you're really that good, your sophomore year, your junior year, you're playing as hard as you can for those 2 full seasons. And if you're that good to make some money, well, making your name, doing what you do and what you're going to eventually be doing, by all means, they should be doing that, because you never know. You can ask Alex Smith and Joe Theismann. You never know when your career is going to end. You just never know. So we might as well give them something to make some money off of their skill. So definitely think that this is a great thing for student athletes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Lou, for sure. All right, next up, going to the richer guys. Let's go to the NFL. Obviously, last week we covered the draft pretty in depth. We have some minor news this week. We'll talk about Goodell, how he made some headlines, not taking his salary. Talk about Dalton signing with the Cowboys, and then all the international games in the NFL are going to be not canceled. The home team is going to actually host the game. And I'm very excited for the schedule released on Thursday personally. But get to that in a few minutes. Lou, give me your thoughts on Goodell and how he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. Goodell's doing something right here. He hasn't been too bad this past year and a half. He hasn't been too bad. I like that, he's not taking a salary. I'm sure some other high office officials in the NFL are not going to take no salary, but maybe take a cut. Because you see that they're saying now some pay cuts might happen in 2021 from teams' cap spaces. Some cap rooms might move down between, I think I saw something like $30 to $80 million less, or it's something of substantial, a huge. Guys are going to have to start taking pay cuts because they're pretty much going to prepare to have the season with no fans. So you're not going to have that ticket money coming in. So I think Goodell taking no salary is a big step. And I know it's not much, when you think about it. It's like, all right, well, in terms of the whole NFL, what does Roger Goodell make? He probably makes $10 million a year, Roger Goodell?
No, a lot more than that. I think it's almost 40.
$40 million a year? Well, even if it is $40 million a year, compared to what the NFL brings in and what they have to pay out, like, it's not substantial. Yeah, $4 or $5 million in salary and a total annual compensation of $40 million. So if he's not taking his salary, he went to compensation committee and volunteered to reduce his salary to $0. So, yeah. So, I mean, the $40 million can give each team, $1.3 million more in cap space, I guess. But it's a great act, but it's not going to get a long way through the NFL, but definitely a selfless act.
No, it absolutely is a selfless act, and this goes beyond football. For me, I just think it goes a lot just because of the jobs he's saving within the NFL. Obviously, all those thousands of people, I'm sure, beneath the commissioner, and obviously, Lou, maybe it comes down to people like you, that people like our age that have jobs within NFL films, it's a trickle-down effect. It comes down to things like that. Obviously, he doesn't need the money. He makes a lot of money. He does very well. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And at the end of the day, he's going to get this money back anyway. We all know that. And I have no problem with that. He made a that's exactly it, Lou, a selfish act right here. I wish more people at the heads of companies would do this. I've been saying this all along. Not to get political, but I mean, it's good-hearted, and people who of that stature that have millions of dollars and can literally afford to do that, even if it's just temporary, not forever, just temporary, 3, 6, 9 months, even a year, whatever, obviously, whatever, everything's going to be different. But it's a very, very good step, and I give him kudos
definitely,
for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It could definitely help other departments within the NFL big time. Think about how many departments there. Even if there's 40 departments, you can get $1 million each right there, and not have to take anyone out or give anyone laid off, anything like that. So very true there. Absolutely,
big time. Well, we'll talk about a guy that did get paid. Let's talk about Dalton signing with the Cowboys. This happened very quick. I'm a little bit surprised that the Bengals didn't try to restructure his contract and mentor Burrow a little bit. But Dalton, obviously a TCU guy, going home to Dallas to back up Dak. Obviously, he's going to be a very, very good backup quarterback if something were to happen to Dak. I like this move for him. I think it made a lot of sense. I wish that the Jets went after him a little bit harder because I really want Darnold to have a mentor. I think Dalton is actually a very smart guy and a guy that understands the game, and he's had some really good years in the past. But this could potentially maybe put some fire on Dak's butt a little bit. He didn't really have competition. It's his job going into camp. It's going to be his coming out. But you know what? If his play really declines, you have a guy that can slip in with no problem, run the offense, and compete.
Yeah, definitely an eye raiser here. Signing for the Cowboys. It's almost, I guess it's a huge wake-up call to Dak, because guess what? This guy still didn't get paid. They paid Amari Cooper. They paid Elliott and another one on the defense. I'm forgetting who. I think Jalen Smith. They paid those guys, and to not pay your quarterback, it says something. It really does. And you go out and signed Andy Dalton, who has years of experience in this league, probably the best backup quarterback in the game right now, next to maybe Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston for the Saints. But it's definitely puts pressure on Dak, and maybe this is the year, now they can say, hey, Dalton, we're going to use you going forward if Dak comes up short again this year, I mean, Dak's had all the tools. They gave Dak Amari Cooper. They gave Dak Ezekiel Elliott. Dak's had the best offensive line in the game for the last 5 years, it feels like. Dallas has had the best offensive line for the last 5 years. I don't think there's any other team that's close. They've had the best offensive line for the last 5 years. So,
absolutely.
And where's that gone? They lost to Green Bay in, what was that? Was that divisional? Was that not even, I don't even think that was the NFC Championship.
No.
That was the divisional round,
was
right?
Not the NFC Championship.
Yep.
Yeah,
they had a bye, I believe.
Yep.
They had a bye. Yep. He led them to a bye and then led them to a loss in Dallas against Aaron Rodgers. So he's got to do something this year. He's got to do something big time. You got him another weapon in C.D. Lamb in the draft. So wake up. You got Gallup, Cooper, C.D., Elliott. I know Travis Frederick is gone now, but that offensive line is still very sturdy. So it's definitely a wake-up call here for Dak. And that shows me that Jerry Jones isn't committing to him either, going out and getting Dalton. So it's definitely a head-scratcher in Dallas. I'd be very surprised if they went out and paid Dak now after going to get Dalton, but if Dak goes 12-4 and goes to the NFC Championship game, then you're going to say, all right, Dak can be our guy, and then Dalton walks. But Dalton's there for some pressure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. And what I was just about to say something about Dak. For the amount he's done for the Cowboys and the way he's performed, he had a very good first half of the season last year. Mediocre the second half, really. I think he's very high in himself. I think he talks a big game. He's got to back it up big time. Whether he's really the guy down in Dallas, but I mean, Dalton providing some pressure, like we keep saying, it's going to go a long way.
And that
sure.
defense isn't terrible either. It's not like the defense constantly lets them down. They've got the best linebacking core in the game. I know DeMarcus Lawrence is coming off a down year on the edge there, but loss of Byron Jones is going to hurt the defense a little bit, but their secondary is still not bad. So a lot of expectations in Dallas.
They're a new head coach, too.
Yep, Mike McCarthy there now. You better show up. You better show up.
Yep, absolutely. Sticking with the NFL, we'll talk about the cancellations of the international series. This week, the NFL, no surprise here, canceling the games to be held in Mexico City, and we are graced with not having to wake up at 9:30 to watch a Jaguar Buccaneers game in London on some crappy field in Wembley. Definitely not going to miss that this year. The Mexico series has been pretty entertaining. Obviously not having to wake up, and it's usually been on a Monday night. But I mean, no surprise here. They're going to have them obviously in 2021, as they say. The NFL has been expanding the game as much as they can, having games in Mexico City and having games in London, which is obviously very good for the game. But the most important thing here, obviously, is keeping everyone at home, not having any players travel outside the country. And we'll be really lucky if we have the NFL start on time, too, in mid-September, about a week after Labor Day. So
yeah, that's the goal, is to just get these games started in September and not have it delayed this season and not have the season go into March and all that stuff. We want to get these games going. Fans at this point do not care if they're in the stands or not. As long as they get their money back for the tickets, that's all they'll care about. They want to see sports. They want to see football. That goes for every sport. They just want to see it, just almost take the loss on the fans, just stop trying to. Basically, you're sitting at a poker table and you're down to your last 10 grand and you're already 100 grand deep and you're like, just get out now. Just get out now. Just don't try and waste another 10 grand to try to just get back to 100 and everything will be fine. It's not going to work. Just cut your losses and just get the product back on the field as quickly as possible. That's what everything they should be focusing on right now. And the London, Mexico games, yes, not going to happen. We all knew that wasn't going to happen. Baseball canceled their London series as well. No out-of-country games are going to be played. And, we'll see that in 2021 once there's a vaccine and such, but definitely a no-brainer here to cancel everything.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's exactly it. No-brainer. But again, I'm very, very happy to see that the NFL did this, and the steps that they've been taking. I think for a team that's in the off season, let alone number one sport in the States, I think they have a lot of pressure on them. They were graced so far to not have any games canceled or postponed. Obviously, OTAs have been virtual or canceled outright. The Jets had some virtual OTAs, and the Saints, Sean Payton just said, you know what, just show up to training camp in shape. I don't care what you do, whatever. But I've been reading that they plan to open the season the week after Labor Day, as always, as they do every year. But they do have a backup plan to start the season in mid to late October and to even push the Super Bowl all the way back to February 28th this year. So they do have backup plans. They're in constant contact with the CDC and health officials. So they're doing what they can. But you know what? They're releasing the schedule on Thursday night as if the season's going to start in September, which is exactly what they should do. And I'm pumped for it. And I'm excited to see the Jets schedule. I know you're excited to see the Giants schedule, Lou. Always like seeing the primetime games. Even though we do have the opponents, it's always good to see how it lines up.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, next up. Now we got some baseball talk. We finally have some pretty much clear-cut baseball news. A few people broke it. broke the news early yesterday and over the weekend, but yesterday Trevor Plouffe, the former Twin, came out and said how the MLB is going to come out and start a version of spring training on June 10th, and then open up the regular season on July 1st. But the kicker here is that there are going to be 3 regional divisions set up by the West, the Central, and the East. So essentially the NL East and the AL East will be combined, basically. The AL Central, NL Central combined, and the same for the West. A few teams here and there, for example, the Braves will be in the Central, I believe, and the Pirates are in the East. Some little things like that. But it makes sense to cut down on travel. And we can have some cool things potentially. I haven't heard anything personally, Lou. I don't know about you, about how the playoffs would shake out and how they would do that. Whether it's just a 16-team tournament or something like that. But, I mean, you can have like a Yankees-A's World Series, a Mets-Cubs World Series, some fun scenarios. So I'm excited for that because it could be so unique.
I think that, I saw Trevor Plouffe's tweet as well, the whole June 10th spring training, July 1st or 2nd opening day, whatever it was. I mean, it's not believable, but, obviously you're going to have the real reporters coming out and being like, this isn't true, this isn't expected, this isn't, feasible of happening. So it is vague. It's a vague start date. It's just all skeptical, those dates. We hope that it actually happens, but it's very skeptical, those dates, and things like that. But I think those dates were also because I know Manfred is pushing regular divisions, playing your home ballparks kind of thing. He really is. He really is pushing that. He wants that. He doesn't really want these 3 divisions anymore. That you just mentioned there, the East, the West, and the Central. But Manfred is going, balls to the wall with, we want these guys playing in their home ballparks. And if they can get that and have a 100-game season, that's what they're going to do. If the only way to have a 100-game season is doing the West, Central, and East, I guess it'll come down to that. But they need to get going by July, because July is the only feasible date where you can get in 100 games. If you start in July 1st, that's obviously going to be no All-Star break. You'll probably have All-Star awards at the end of the year or something like that. But there's going to be nothing in terms of, a break for these guys. They're going to go 100 games straight right off the bat. So they got to get going by July. I'm starting to get nervous for baseball here.
I know. It's tough not to get nervous about baseball, but everywhere I see, everyone's very optimistic about starting the season. But just because there's nothing concrete from the MLB, that's why it's nerve-wracking. I'm with you there, Lou, but I really think it's going to happen. I think they've been too quiet. They have this plan. I really think it's going to come to fruition. It's going to be a weird season. I really can't envision them personally. I don't know how they wouldn't be able to even have 10 to 15,000 fans potentially in the stands. Each team has certain protocols type of thing. I just think there's too much at risk money-wise, all around to risk for baseball. I just can't tell if I'm being a little greedy, because like I keep texting you during the week, I need to be in the stadium in the summer. The same thing goes for you too. But regardless, I just want to see the Yanks. I want to see the Mets. I want to see the Sox. Never thought I'd say that in my life, but I just want to see these games.
It'll be the first time not in a stadium since 1997. For a year.
I'm with you there, Lou. It's a weird stat. Yeah, very weird thing. Oh, man. Sticking with baseball, I was obviously, you too, very upset about this news. The Little League World Series has been canceled already, just about 3.5 months in advance again, real no surprise here. But it's the first time since World War II that they will not be in the League World Series. Out in Williamsport, still on my sports bucket list to head out there for a weekend one year.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad that it's not happening. It's just a great tradition. Some kids not as we know, not those kids are not going to. Most of them don't even go to big time schools, so it's just their chance to feel like a major leaguer, and it's just great to watch. Just like uplifting, and it's great to see kids having fun like that, and brings back your own memories, and it's just always a fun time in August that goes on. But yeah, the kids don't have their seasons in the summer. How you really gonna determine who gets to go to the Little League World Series? So definitely tough. But they'll be back next year. Like I said, 2020, you're just going to be taking a break from a lot of stuff here. It's just the year of, it's just everyone's taking a year off. So it's definitely sad, but they'll be back. We'll be back. And I think they actually mentioned some kids maybe that would get to play another year of Little League, but I don't think that's good. These kids are going to be 13, 14, they're already 13, so you're going to let 14. I don't think you can be 14. Yeah. I mean, 13-year-old, you're already supposed to be playing at 90-foot bases, and you're going to have a 14-year-old up there. He's going to be throwing 107. I mean, come on.
That'd be entertaining.
Jeez,
Sign me up for that.
All right, you guys 14 years old, let's back them up. But I don't know. I don't think they should give the kids another year of eligibility to play in the Little League World Series. Put them on the bench, let them support the team, let them be able to get all the fun accolades and stuff. But things happen in life, and you gotta move on. You want to get to the next phase of baseball. You don't want to keep playing on those Little League bases when you're going to have JV and varsity to get to.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But at the end of the day, my heart breaks for these kids because it's such an accomplishment to win your state and then go ahead and win the Little League World Series, let alone just be able to play in the Little League World Series. That is an accomplishment in and of itself. And those kids,
and the relationships they make too. They're all in the same complexes, other countries, everything.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. There's so much that goes into it. My heart really goes out for these kids because a lot of them, they're probably never going to be able to play.
The only good thing from all this is that they didn't know they were going. They had to earn it. So, in a way, in a decent way, it's not like the NCAA tournament where teams had their ticket punched and it just got ripped from them. Right. It wasn't ripped from them, but it's just sad that it's not happening. So no kid directly is feeling crushed right now. Right. So keep that in mind too. I'm glad that they did cancel it before teams like Little League teams said we can go to the World Series, and then they cancel it. So at least no kid got their hopes up. So that is a small silver lining.
Exactly. Yeah. No. There definitely is. I'll give you that. But it's just, I think of these kids. A lot of them have been playing together for years
since they put on the glove
T-ball, and they get better together. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then they say, one last hurrah, we're going to all play together, let's go win the Little League World Series. Not going to happen. But like you said, if there's a silver lining, no one knew exactly who was going to go. Just kind of playing the what-if game, which hurts. All right, next up, got some minor NBA, NHL news. The NHL has been very vocal over the past week and a half or so, creating all types of scenarios. It's been kind of hard for me to keep up. The latest is that they want to start the season restart the 2019-20 season by July and have the NHL draft June 5th before they resume the season. So I don't know how that's going to work with trades and whatnot. A lot of trades get done at the deadline last year. Obviously, the Devils picked up PK Subban at the trade deadline. Every year, you just expect your team to make one or two trades at the draft. Just very similar to the NFL. It's going to be very weird. They're pushing for this June 5th draft. I think it's a little too premature. And then they and the NBA are both preparing, it seems like, to start in December for the 2021 season. And, I mean, considering there's a number of teams in Canada and for the NHL, and obviously the Raptors in Toronto, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did come out and say that all players do have to quarantine. That is mandatory, and they are not allowed to cross the USA-Canada border because he does not deem professional sports as essential travel. So, Lou, give me your thoughts on that, too.
There's a lot right there, you said. So, do you think that you were saying with trades and, deadlines, things like that, it's weird. Because, I think, where I work, MLB NHL Network, we got all these Devil fans, rooting against the Coyotes because you can get like a better pick if they miss the playoffs and all this other stuff with the draft wise and things like that. So it would be weird, drafting before the season ends kind of thing. I do think the NHL is quicker to throw in the towel than the NBA is on these issues. So maybe that's why they moved up the draft, which I really don't see an issue with as long as you don't go and restart this and, re-up the season and have the playoffs. But I do think the NHL is quicker to throw in a towel. They do have more Canadian teams. The Canadian teams would not be able to play in Canada. You would have to get them all to come and play in the U.S. Because Canada's not having anything right now. Canada's canceled everything until, I think, July 1st or something like that. You can't even have anything there. So, they would have to find their destinations in America and all that. I think it'd just be too much of a hassle to finish out the season. So I think this is almost a note, like a hint. That's the word, like a hint that this season's not going to resume for the NHL. Which, I guess you and I don't have much stock in it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But starting in December, I think it's terrible. I would hate for the NBA and NHL to start in December because it's just that's not how it's supposed to be. Because you start in December, then what are you going to do? January, February, March, April, May, June. You're going to have playoffs in July and August, and then what? You're going to start the next season in December too. You're going to give them any break, or just September in 2021, and you're back in October of 2021 with 1 month off in September. Like, what are they thinking? I don't understand. They can't just be like, no, December's when things are going to start now. I do not want to watch basketball in July. That's not my goal here. I want to watch basketball right after March Madness ends. That's when the NBA and NHL playoffs start, and it's just a great transition. Gets me right through the dark times into before baseball starts, and it's just exactly how it needs to be done. So I hate the idea that they would come in to start in December. They shouldn't finish the season in August. They shouldn't finish the season at all unless it's before June 1st, like I've been pushing for. Get the season going. Get it going if you can. At this point, nothing can really end at June 1st at this point. They would need, I think, at least 4 weeks to have a playoff. So, but like, even if you can get July, August, and September off and back in October, that can work. So try to finish up in June if you can for the NBA playoffs. Otherwise, just throw in the towel on it. LeBron can cry all he wants that he was the 1 seed in the West. I don't care. I don't care about your one of your rings that you have a chance to win. Like, I don't care about that, LeBron. I don't care about it at all. I don't care about anyone getting a ring this year. I care about the future of the sport and it starting again in 2021 and things getting back to normal and everyone just being safe. We shouldn't all revolve because LeBron says that we need to finish the playoffs because I'm the 1 seed. That's not how it should work.
Yeah, but
I don't care if he wants it. I don't care who wants it. I don't care if R.J. Barrett was the 1 seed and wanted it. Like, guess what? Come back next year. Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, if this crushes LeBron's dreams, I would love it. Anything to see him not win and just not do anything in the postseason would be awesome. Because
he's got a losing record in finals anyway. So if he made the finals, there's a likely chance he's going to lose.
Yeah.
There you go. Dev, you caved for the last dance. I'm going to let them know. You caved.
I did. I was
You caved. I don't know. You said Jordan's the GOAT. I had to throw it in there. You caved.
I'm hooked. I'm on the 3rd episode. I don't know why I waited. The content is just unbelievable.
Knew you cave.
It's just such good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, man. Yeah, but I talked to my roommate from college. He said I'm waiting to hold off to binge. I said, dude, I tried. There's no shot that's going to work. No way. My God. But anyway, Lou, we got our last subject.
Fun topic. I'm ready.
Fun topic. Had a lot of fun working on this today. Your idea, as always. Got our top 5 single game performances. So obviously a very broad one. Tough to think about. I guarantee you we're going to have one of the same.
We got to have 2 of the same. We should have 3 of the same. We should have 3 of the same. We should have 3 of the same. We definitely have 2, but we should have 3.
I don't know. We're going in blind, by the way. We have no idea. So, Lou, give me
number 5. It's at number 5 because there is no video evidence of the game. There's only a photo of Wilt Chamberlain holding the 100-point piece of paper. But yeah, scoring 100 points in a basketball game, no matter what it is, when it is, what they won by, who they played, scoring 100 points with no 3-point line, making 50 buckets, number 5.
Yeah. And guess
what? That's your number 5?
That is my number 5. That is my number 5. It's never going to be done again. Scoring 100 points in a game. I don't care if there's a 3-point line. I don't care if you're playing 5-on-1. It's never going to happen again. 100 points in a game is unbelievable. And he's definitely one guy I wish was still around. Obviously, rest in peace, Wilt Chamberlain. He is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Being able to score 100 points a game, I cannot fathom that. I wish I was around for that and alive for that. I would have loved to have seen that. But just envisioning that picture of him holding that number 100 on that small piece of leather paper.
Yep, that's all the evidence they got.
That's my number 5 too.
So now we should have
number 4, Lou.
We should have 3 in common now.
All right, I think we're gonna have 2. That's my guess.
All right, number 4. Rangers are down 3-2 in 1994 to the New Jersey Devils. Locker rooms interview Game 5. Mark Messier gets on the mic and says that they're going to win this thing. That they're winning. They're winning the series. They're guaranteed that the Rangers will win the series. Next night comes out, has the hat trick, wins for them in Game 6, ties it up 3-3. They go back to the Garden, and they win 2-1 in double OT. Game 6, Messier's hat trick, number 4 on my list.
Thanks.
I wanted to throw in a hockey in there. I wanted to throw a hockey one in there. I didn't want it only to be Dev that does the hockey stuff. Mark Messier, Game 6, May 25th.
Let alone the only time that, thankfully I wasn't alive for it, but the only time you can give me a jab at the Devs as a Ranger fan, Lou. A so-called Ranger fan, I'll say. Oh, my God. All right. Number 4, I'm going to go with Jerry Rice against the Falcons in 1990. My man went 13 for 225 and 5 touchdowns. Before I even elaborate on that, can you imagine that?
Jerry Rice versus the other team.
Like 60 points. Yeah,
hold on.
It is.
I can do this. I can do this real quick. I'm a fantasy guru math with what the point should be. 13 catches.
It's
I'm
30
doing a full
points
PPR
already.
league. So what'd you say? 13 catches.
13 catch, 13 points. Another 30 for touchdowns, 6 times 5.
And then you said
43.
225 yards. So
62.5. Is that right?
So keep 43 in mind. Keep the number 43 in mind because that's what we have to add to these yards here. So 225 yards.
Yeah.
So 200 yards is 20 points. Another 25 yards is Another 2 points. So
2.5.
that's
Yeah. It's like
22.5 points.
60.
Plus, if you're doing the bonuses, which I do the bonuses, I love the bonuses, you get 2 points for hitting 100 yards, and another 2 points for hitting 200 yards. So that's another 4 points on top of the 22.5. So what did I say, 43?
Yeah.
So 43 plus 22.5, you're at 65.5 points.
That's incredible.
From
That's
one
nuts.
guy.
Yeah, from one guy. You're lucky if you get 3 guys on your team that get that in a day. That's a good day.
Jeez.
But, yeah, thank God I'm not playing fantasy with you because I can't do full PPR and all those bonuses.
Oh, I mean, I'm a half PPR guy. I'm a half PPR guy. But just for the sake of running up fantasy numbers, we wanted to make that a full PPR.
Fine. I like it.
I am a half PPR guy. Definitely.
You know? But to be honest with you, I always forget about this game. When I was doing some research today and I wanted to put a football one in there, this popped up. I'm like, man, like, he was just so dominant as a wide receiver. Obviously the greatest wide receiver of all time, but just that stat. I mean, 13 for 225. What is that even per catch? I mean, the stats are unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That's some game. That
Yes,
definitely is some game. I'm glad you threw that in there. I was not expecting that. That was a little curveball on a 2-0 count. You dropped in a curve.
Yeah, no, I got it in there. I stuck it in the dirt. Hit me up with number 3, Lou.
Number 3, I have the MJ flu game. Coming down with the flu, with the ice on his head. It's just it's vintage Michael Jordan, not going to lose. You know, it was an unbelievable game. They won. It was a game. Was it game 6?
Game 6, yeah.
I mean, guy literally played with the flu and didn't miss a beat. Yeah. Didn't miss a beat. Just spectacular game. What do you have? 32 points? I believe it was. I should have had this pulled up.
Let me see, Jordan. I'll type it in.
I got it here too.
Game stats. Let's see what he got. 38 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block.
They won 90-88 against the Jazz in Game 5.
Yep,
in Game 5, they won that. But just playing with the flu in itself, playing 44 minutes. I mean,
unbelievable.
He's the man. 38 points, just crushed it. Awesome game. I wish I was alive for it, but man, I wish I could remember watching that.
Live it. Yeah.
You know, it says something when we go back and pick these games where it's just like, man, I wish I watched that. Actually, all my games, I didn't watch a single one of them.
Really?
That I picked here. Yep, I didn't watch a single one.
Oh, man. No, I can't say that. I have my number 3 I remember very well. I remember where I was. You should remember this game, too. I think this gets overlooked as a baseball one because this game gave me chills, and what he did gave me chills. But David Freese in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. You know, down in the last out, the Rangers are about to win in St. Louis. He hits a double to tie the game. Then, of course, in extras, he hits that bomb to center field, and Busch Stadium goes nuts. And then eventually the Cardinals do win the World Series. And really, that was the last you really heard of David Freese. He was a guy that was still in the lineup, and he was still there. But, boy, did he make a name for himself, and did he become a St. Louis legend for life after that game. I remember watching that in the State Line Diner in Ramsey, New Jersey, after my sophomore year dance or something in high school. I don't know why I was there, but I remember watching on TV and be like, holy crap, what a game, and what a performance by David Freese.
I gotta say, I kind of hate that at number 3, to be totally honest. I think that's a crazy pick.
Oh, man.
That's crazy. I mean, my Raul Ibanez game was better. Pinch hitting and having home runs in extra innings and the 9th inning to tie it and then win it.
You're down to your last out in, I believe it was game 6.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He was the best.
6.
You know, that was a great, maybe
unbelievable.
Maybe in Cardinals history it might be the best single game performance, but Oh, putting that in your top 5 all time? All right.
No, I love that.
All right.
I love that. Give me your number 2, you loser.
Number 2, the best list here. Number 2, Reggie Jackson smacking 3 homers in the World Series. Mm-hmm. 3 of them on 3 pitches. Just boom, boom, boom. 3 homers, and in a World Series game. Don't think we're going to see that again. But just unreal. I mean, there's not much to say. 3 homers, 3 pitches. Reggie Jackson coming in at number 2.
Yeah, you could just envision those highlights. Him getting down on one knee and just smacking them to right center into the bleachers in the old stadium.
Yep, with those.
Man, you imagine being alive for
those
that.
great glasses. Imagine there being no fans in that World Series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What if that happens? It can happen now.
Imagine there's no fans at Reggie Jackson's 3-homer World Series game.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God! No curtain call. Yep. Jeez.
Nothing. I know. No, that's a very good number 2, Lou. Very good number 2.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I love his glasses. Those glasses, man.
Yeah, they were something else. But they're a trademark for Reggie.
Oh, 100%.
Trademark for him.
100%.
Oh, man.
That was Game 6 of the World Series against the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, yes.
Yep.
In 77.
In 77.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man. No, that's a good
They
one.
won 8-4.
Wow, 8-4, and he had 3 homers. They were all solos or no?
He went 3 for 3. 2 of them were solos. One was a 2-run shot. 2 were 2-run shots. One was a solo shot. He had 5 RBIs.
Wow, that's crazy. That is something.
Yep. And his other at-bat was a walk. He scored 4 times.
Wow. What a game.
Scored 4, drove him 5.
Yeah. What an attitude he had. But that whole team, between he and Billy Martin, and having Thurman Munson as your catcher, I mean, the persona on that team is something else.
Yep. And fun fact, Mike Torres pitched a complete game in that game against the Dodgers.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
There you go.
Never knew that. Oh, man.
Went 2-0 in that World Series. Won 2 games.
Mike Torres?
Yeah.
Huh. The more you know.
Yes.
Something I didn't know for sure. Oh, my God. Well, my number 2, it's actually another basketball one. I can't tell if this is a sentimental pick, but it's really the first monumental or single game performance I can actually remember and being like, wow, that's amazing. And I remember waking up in 4th grade the next morning watching Sports Center right before school, watching highlights of this game, Kobe's 81. Unbelievable, single-handed performance by the great Kobe Bryant. Of course, rest in peace. Talk about putting a team on his back. January 23rd, 2006 against the Raptors, my man dropped 81 points. He was 28 for 46 from the field and 18 of 20 from the line. Just an incredible performance from Kobe. Obviously an all-time performance. And just this game, for me, it puts Kobe's career in a nutshell. Putting the team on his back, just doing everything he can to win the game. He had that Mamba mentality. That's why I guess he and MJ were just so close, is that MJ saw himself in Kobe and vice versa, and they obviously had a great respect for each other. But just an unbelievable game, scoring 81 points, just like Wilt scoring 100. Incredible too, but something about that 81-point game, that really hits me. It really gets me going.
Yeah, I mean, some people even consider 81 to be the most scored in the game because, Wilt, Wilt the Stilt being a foot taller than everybody back then, but
right.
Some people consider Kobe is the 81-point game. Definitely fantastic performance.
Absolutely.
Not going to knock you on that, Dev. Not going to knock you on that.
Yeah,
but I actually liked his final game performance more.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
I did. I liked Kobe's final game performance. I thought it was very similar to Jeter. I like Jeter's more. just because, it was a walk-off. Kobe hit a buzzer beater,
Yes.
but but I definitely love Kobe's final game. Yeah, and my number one, throwing a perfect game in a World Series. How do you have a better performance than that? Don Larson, nine innings, 27 up, 27 down, struck out 7, just October 8th, 1956 at Yankee Stadium against the Dodgers. Just, wow. Yeah, I mean, you can't get better than a perfect game in the World Series. There's no better performance you can have. That's going to be number one now and forever.
Yeah, and that's why it's my number one, too. You cannot make it a number one. Obviously, Don Larson just passed away very recently.
Yes.
In the past few months, I believe, off the top of my head.
I think it was was it right before Old Timers Day last year? Or was it this year? I always remember him being there. I think he was. I think he did pass before it happened.
New Year's Day this year.
New Year's Day.
January 1st, 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So he was there last year. Yeah, this will be the first time he's not at Old Timers Day. He's always there every year.
It's going to be weird.
You almost kind of see him. You're like, oh, man, this might be his last one. Every time he would walk out to the mound, you'd be like, oh, man.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's unbelievable. No matter the era of baseball, especially in the 50s. I mean, the 50s has some great teams. Obviously, some great Yankee teams, arguably the best in their history. And nonetheless, playing the Dodgers and just that iconic image of Yogi just jumping into Don Larson's arms.
Yep.
And Don Larson's still kind of just standing there, kind of like, Yogi, what are you doing? I mean, his arms, I think, are pretty much on almost by his side.
Yogi, what are you doing? We have one more game to win.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely tough to beat. I mean, you imagine it happening now, Game 5 of the World Series, and you throw a perfect game. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's definitely
Great
number
stuff.
one.
Great stuff, absolutely.
All right, I only can knock you for your David Freese one there, but
The Freeze one? No way. We'll argue that till Kingdom Come. That was an awesome performance. Awesome performance. But I liked your list too, Lou. We're gonna have. Some more
when are
stuff
we going to
next
get
week.
something we can see and put on the list? What can we see and put to the list? But
yeah, I know. But everyone's doing this. Everyone's reminiscing.
yeah,
It's tough not to. All these reruns and everything.
yep.
Oh, man. But that'll do it for another episode of Keep It on the DL. Thank you very much for listening. Be here next week with a recap of the NFL schedule release and whatever the heck is going to come out of the MLB or any of the other major sports in the States and around the world. I'm Devin Bonanno. Alongside me is Lou Angelillo. Talk to you next week.